Hey everyone, welcome back to Crossway Kids Online. It's so good to see you. And today we have got an eggs. We're doing eggs today? We do have eggs today, but that's not what we're doing. We're doing Nehemiah and Initiative, and it's going to be great. Before we get to that, let's jump on our feet and let's worship God.
You're the reason why our hearts are beating. You're everything we need. You're the reason for the songs we're singing. We sing because we're free. Come on, we'll let it rise up to our God and Savior. Come on, we'll shout it out louder now. We'll sing it out forever. Hear our praise rising up. Whoa, from the hearts of the found. Whoa, we lift a shout to the one who has saved us. What a beautiful sound. Whoa, rising up to you. Rising up to you. To our King who saves, hear our endless praise. Rising up to you. You're the reason why our hearts are beating. You're everything we need. You're the reason for the songs we're singing. We sing because we're free. Come on, we'll let it rise up to our God and Savior. Come on, we'll shout it out louder now. We'll sing it out forever. Hear our praise rising up. Whoa, from the hearts of the found. Whoa, we lift a shout to the one who has saved us. What a beautiful sound. Whoa, rising up to you. Rising up to you. To our King who saves, hear our endless praise. Rising up to you. Come on. Hey, rising up, getting louder now.
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 Hear our praise rising up from the hearts of the found. We lift a shout to the one who has saved us. What a beautiful sound. Rising up to you. We're rising up to you. Rising up to you. To our King who saves, hear our endless praise. Rising up to you. We're rising up to you.
Hey everyone, welcome to Game Time. I'm Andrew and I'm joined by Amy and Carly. Wow, I nearly forgot your names. Hey, and today we are going to play Egghead. Now, no reflection on your heads. We're using eggs. Really simple game. Rock, paper, scissors. The loser of that round picks up an egg, puts it against their head and squashes it. 11 of these are hard-boiled, so nothing will happen. But one of them's not, and that's going to make a mess. So as you can gather,
Okay.
there's no winners, just a loser in this game. Okay, you ready? Ready? So rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay? Ready, go.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yes.
Oh, Amy, let's go. Amy's gonna.
With this one?
No. You can chuck it in here. That's fine. All right, ready? Let's go again.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yes.
Wow. Oh. Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Alright. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, yes. Go, Carly.
Oh, Oh yeah.
I love the commitment though. Really well squashed. All right, here we go. Round
I
4.
smell like egg.
Yeah, wow. Why?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh no. Okay.
Wow. Oh, yeah, they're hard boiled.
Yep. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, go Carly, come on.
This one looks really lonely over here.
It does?
So I'm just gonna go.
I wonder if that's the one.
Oh no.
Here we go.
No.
Alright.
That was juicy. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Alright, stop. Next time you get them both, you're both doing it, okay? Alright, let's keep going.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yes.
Oh, Amy just picks paper. So if you're playing against Amy, choose scissors. Alright, Amy. Crack it if you need to on the chair.
It's really hard.
Yeah. But the egg's quite hard too.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh,
Oh.
no.
Had a good sound though.
I thought that was the
That
minus.
was a good one. Okay,
Yeah.
ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh.
Alright, Carly. I'm scared too. I'm scared it's going to go all over me.
It's a hard boiled one. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Ah, no, you both get one. Nah.
1, 2, 3.
Come on. Yep. Oh, Amy's safe. Carly's safe. Oh, here we go. All right. Ready?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. No!
Oh, Carly. Commitment.
Uh-oh.
No, you're kidding.
Oh, no! Oh, no. So, Amy, I did say there was only one loser. That's definitely Carly. You can win this one, guaranteed to be hard boiled. Thanks for joining us on Game Time, and we will see you next week.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now, for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Nehemiah, chapters 2, 4, and 6.
When Nehemiah traveled to Jerusalem and surveyed the broken down walls, he saw immediately what had to be done.
We must rebuild.
God moved the hearts of the people to join him.
Let's get started!
Hooray!
But while the Jewish people were eager to repair the tumbled down walls and ruined gates, the people in the lands around them were not so thrilled.
What do they think they're doing?
A city with no walls stood open to attack. The people inside could never become a strong nation. The enemies of the Jews knew that if the wall of Jerusalem was rebuilt, the Jewish people might become a powerful enemy.
They must cease and desist.
Sanballat, a Horonite, and Tobiah, an official from Ammon, marched right up to the place where the people gathered to begin work.
Pathetic. What a ragtag group.
Why bother to even start? You shall never finish.
Plus, the king is gonna think you're trying to take over.
Nehemiah kept his cool.
The God of heaven will give us success. We serve Him. So we'll start rebuilding the walls.
Good luck with that.
Nehemiah and the Israelites didn't need luck. They needed God's help. It was true that a few of the Jewish people were builders.
Let's see. We've got priests, nobles, goldsmiths, perfume makers, farmers, grape growers, shepherds, any stonemasons. Well, let's get organized.
Where he could, Nehemiah assigned each family group to work on a section of the wall closest to their home.
Eliashib, you and the other priests will rebuild the sheep gate. Then, work on the wall up to the Tower of the 100.
On it!
Hassanah's family, I want you to work on the fish gate, lay its beams, and repair the doors with metal bolts and bars.
We've got this.
Nehemiah continued to give each family or group a part of the wall to rebuild. Old and young, men and women, they put everything they had to gather the fallen stones and hewing beams. In a short time, the wall began to rise again.
Inconceivable!
Sanballat and Tobiah were shocked to see the Jews actually making progress. They would mock the work to anyone who would listen.
Do those Jews think they can make the wall new in a single day? Preposterous! The stones are all scattered and piled up like garbage.
I suppose an itty-bitty fox tried to climb up on that excuse for a wall. Ah! The whole thing would fall down.
Once again, Nehemiah ignored the heckling. Instead, he prayed as he worked.
God, please listen to our prayer. Some people hate us. They're saying bad things about us. Don't hide your eyes from their guilt.
With a burst of energy, the people worked even harder until the wall was half as high as it needed to be.
Preposterous!
Time for some action.
Tobiah and Sanballat began to plot with the surrounding nations to attack Jerusalem before the wall could be finished.
We must set guards day and night.
Even with guards in place, enemies threatened, and the Jews were exhausted.
There's rubble everywhere, and our enemies say that no matter where we are, they'll attack.
Nehemiah refused to be distracted. He stationed families at the weakest parts of the walls, armed with swords, spears, and bows.
Don't be afraid. Fight for your families.
From that day, everyone carried their weapons, even as they worked.
If you hear the sound of the trumpet, run to join us. God will fight for us.
Nehemiah and the Jews worked from the very first light of sunrise until the stars came out at night. At last, the wall itself was finished.
It's full height. All the gaps are filled.
Yeah!
But we can't rest yet. The entrance gate still must be repaired.
Sanballat was furious, but he had another play to make. So he sent a message to Nehemiah, who was working high on the wall.
Sanballat says, "Come, let's talk with one another. Let's meet in one of the villages on the plain of Ono."
Oh no, I don't think so.
Nehemiah knew perfectly well they were planning to harm him, but he stayed focused on the work and sent his own messenger to Sanballat.
Nehemiah says, I am working on a huge project. Why should the work stop while I leave it? Why should I go down and talk with you?
Inconceivable! Try again.
5 times, Sanballat sent messages. He even threatened to tell the Persian king that Nehemiah was trying to make himself king.
Tell Sanballat you're just making that up.
Oh, I'll have to send another message.
Time for a new strategy.
Sanballat made one last desperate attempt. He hired a man named Shemaiah to make Nehemiah look bad with his own people.
Nehemiah, some men are coming at night to kill you. Let's go hide in the temple and lock the doors.
Nehemiah knew that God had not sent Shemaiah.
Should a man like me run away? No, I won't go.
Once again, Nehemiah saw through the tricks of his enemies. Instead of hiding away and looking foolish, he trusted God and doubled down on the work. On the 52nd day of work, the wall and gates were finished.
No!
The wall had been finished in record time by a group of ordinary, everyday people. It was clear to everyone that God had helped Nehemiah and the Jews stay focused and finish strong.
That was a great story. Nehemiah was able to build the wall in just 52 days, but as much of an achievement that is, I reckon there would have been times where he might have gotten a little bit distracted, or maybe there were some obstacles in the way. I reckon the thought of some men maybe coming from nearby towns to try and hurt him, to stop him, might have been a bit of a problem. Maybe he had days where he was just really tired or really bored of doing the same building over and over again. I reckon that could have been a problem too. And maybe even just at the start, he looked at the entire project, the entire wall that needed to be built, and he was just thinking to himself, no, this is just too much. I can't even get started. I can't do that. But luckily, that's actually not what happened. Nehemiah, he asked God for help, and because of that, he was able to do such an amazing thing. And it's pretty similar for us as well. Sometimes we have these big things that we need to do, even small things that we need to do, but distractions can come in the way. An example, maybe you're in class and your teacher's talking, she's teaching you an important thing, but your friend is next to you trying to tell you something or trying to tell you a joke or play a game with you or something like that, and you can't quite focus on what your teacher is saying. Maybe you could be praying at night, and I know I can relate to this. Sometimes it's late and you're just tired and you're trying to pray, but you just keep falling asleep. You can't keep your eyes open, and that can be a pretty big distraction as well. And maybe you're cleaning your room. I'm sure that's something that you guys get asked to do all the time. And you're sorting all through your stuff, and then you see a toy, this toy you haven't played with in a while. And instead of finishing clearing up your room, you're like, man, I need to play with this toy right now. This is so cool. And you can get distracted from cleaning your room by playing with that toy. But instead of getting distracted, we can actually choose to be like Nehemiah and ask God for help. Ask Him to help us complete what needs to be done, to finish what we've started. And now we're going to have a look at some things that might distract us on an everyday basis. And we're going to do this with a bit of an activity. So what's going to happen is, in a moment, some pictures are going to come up on the screen one at a time. And each picture represents or shows one type of distraction that you might face in your life. And as a family, whoever's with you, you're going to look at that picture and try and figure out what distraction it's showing, and just have a guess what distraction is in that picture. So let's give that a go now. Wow, that was a lot of distractions. I don't know about you guys, but I get distracted a lot as well. Those things that we mentioned, plus some other ones. One that I think of is when I have homework for university, I'm on my laptop, right? You guys might have a computer at home or an iPad that you use for your homework too. And sometimes, when I'm, looking at my notes or something like that, I'm meant to be studying, but sometimes my eyes drift away from the notes or what I'm meant to be looking at, and they drift up to the top, to the little new tab button, or down the bottom to the Netflix app or something like that, and I get very tempted to start watching a TV show or go into YouTube or look at some sports highlights and things like that, and it becomes pretty easy for me to just forget about my homework and get distracted. I wonder whether that's something you guys can relate to, and it's definitely something that I need to get better at, and maybe ask God for some help. And speaking of that, asking God for help, Nehemiah, he was faced with a pretty distracting situation, right? His troublemaking friends, they were threatening him and teasing him, trying anything they could to pull him away from the task that he had to complete. But Nehemiah, he stood strong, and he actually stopped, he prayed to God and asked God to help him focus and get the job done. And as we mentioned before, and as we saw before, Nehemiah, because of God's help, was able to do that. And so that's something that we should be able to do in our own lives as well. Proverbs chapter 4, verses 25 to 27. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Keep looking right in front of you. Think carefully about the paths that your feet walk on. Always choose the right ways. Don't turn to the right or left. Keep your feet from the path of evil. At first, these verses, they might seem like they're telling us how to walk properly or how to have a good posture, but of course that's not the case. Instead, they're telling us how to stay focused. How to stay focused on the jobs that we have, so that could be our homework, the chores that we have to do around our house, on helping others and the things that we've promised to do for other people. It also talks about how we can stay focused on God. By learning what we can from the Bible, by praying, by spending time with God, by loving God and loving others like He asks us to, we can stay focused on Him. We can stay focused on God. And now, as we finish up, we're going to pray. And for our prayer today, as we head into that time, I would like us to discuss some of the things that distract each of you guys in your family. So everyone can share a couple of things that distract them the most. And as each person shares, you can pause, the entire family can pray for that person and pray for that person to help them stop getting distracted by those things and to stay focused on what needs to be done. So you can pray for each person as they share. So why don't you guys do that now as a family?
Well, I hope you guys had an excellent time You didn't like that joke? No, I didn't think it would crack you up. Anyway, I'll stop yoking around. I hope you had a great time at Crossway Kids, hearing about the story of Nehemiah. Can't wait to see how it ends next week. So join us as we conclude this story. We'll see you next time.